So this is Romanosky, and here in beautiful Lake Louise, Alberta, and this is a 1965 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud 3. And so I've done an earlier video walking around the car and going through the condition of the sheet metal interior and wood and so forth, and now we're just going to take a quick drive. So this car is powered by the 6.2 liter engine, V8 engine that came out in the Silver Cloud 2 in 1959 and stayed current all the way up until 2010 when you could still find it. I think there's still new cars on the dealer lots with a 2010 Bentley Azure and Brooklyn's cars. So anyway, an incredibly long life for this engine, and it would have been influenced by American engines of the time, but it is a unique Rolls-Royce design. The gearbox, on the other hand, is a GM Hydromatic 400, which was generally recognized as the best gearbox at the time. And so this car is a wonderful driver. It's been sympathetically maintained its entire life. It started life in Scotland, where it was sold new into Glasgow, and then it came to Canada in 1974, first in Mississauga, or Burlington, I think, and then it came to Vancouver in the 80s, and then in the late 80s it was purchased by a hotelier in Lake Louise, and that's where we are now. So it starts up easily, and with just a small puff of blue smoke that goes away instantly, and that's from a car that's been sitting for a while. So the engine is in nice shape. Again, it idles good. We can have a look at this is a fully warmed up car. I'm just going to put it in reverse here, and it goes in smoothly. Power steering doesn't make any noises. It's a very delicate lever here, and you just finger touch, and we can look at the oil pressure, which at idle speed is on the low end, and then as soon as you give it some throttle, the oil pressure comes up to where it should be. The brakes stop the car straight and true. There's no pulling. We've got a good cooling system. It's about a 30°C day here, and the car isn't overheating, and it is behaving itself properly, as you'd expect a car that's been sympathetically maintained. The guy who's done the work on this car is Heinz Oldenthal, who used to be a Mercedes dealer and in Banff when they had many more smaller Mercedes dealers, and he's the resident Mercedes, Porsche, European expert for older cars. So he does a lot of 356 and earlier Porsche work. He's a Mercedes 600 expert and 300 SEL 6.3 expert, and he's friends with the hotelier. So anyway, you really do want your car looked after by Heinz. I bought my own Mercedes 560 from him, and he really knows what he's doing. This car hasn't been touched or butchered or defouled or suffered any indignities in its entire life. It hasn't been driven that much in the last 5 years. The tires were new about 15-20 years ago, and they show good tread, but you can pick up a little bit of vibration. But the car works perfectly. You know, the brakes on these are difficult to set up. They have a brake servo, which normally is a run off the vacuum of the engine, but on these cars it's a run off a power takeoff from the gearbox. So and it can be difficult if somebody doesn't know how to do it. It can be difficult to set it up properly, and this one is. You need to be careful when you're braking from 2 miles an hour, because there's not enough speed in the gearbox shafts to act as a servo, so it could catch you out a little bit if you don't use a firm pedal pressure. But as soon as the car gets to, you know, any 3 or 4 or 5 miles an hour, the brake servo works perfectly. So this car is set up perfectly. It works well, and it's a real pleasure to drive it, actually. Doors click shut as they should, and the car is whisper quiet. There was a famous ad from, I think it was Ogilvy and Mather in the 60s, where they used this car, and they said at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in a Rolls Royce is the electric clock. It's one of those ads that was anyway, you see it in these summaries of the world's best car ads, and it was famously parodied by Land Rover, which had a similar ad saying the loudest noise in a Land Rover is the roar of the engine as a joke. Anyway, these cars would have been incredibly expensive to build, and you know, you really don't want to buy a bad one, because just about any job you do is going to be terrifically expensive when it comes to either the coach work, repairing rust work, or if you have to put a new interior in it, or if you have to do the paint. And what happens is that most of them are run on a budget by well-meaning Rolls enthusiasts, but the job isn't done anywhere near like the factory. So when you buy a car like this, you know, you're going to try to find one that's untouched and unmolested. And this one comes about as close as you can come. It's had a good repaint about 20 years ago. Chassis original, metals original, wood's original, and the leather's original. So this car has what we think is 152,000 miles on it, and yet it's still a gorgeous machine, and it's a real pleasure to drive it around. So there you go, and we're pulling into the hotel here. You can see the beautiful mountains in the background, and you could make a wonderful vacation out of coming to Lake Louise and having a look at this car in person, and then you should be good to drive anywhere. So there you go, Romanosky, and thank you for viewing.